So they probably felt like, bro, like, what you about to do? What's up? And he ended up getting his shit rocked. Now, I don't condone violence, but it's kind of funny when somebody like does you dirty and then they literally call you with like the news, they got their shit rocked, and I'm supposed to feel bad. I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel bad, and I still don't feel bad because I really feel like it was one of those God will give you a feast in front of your enemies kind of things.
Now that you woke, what do you see?
Peace, peace, y'all. What's up? What's good with my gold souls? Honey Gold Jasmine back with a video like you knew I would. I know I missed last week. I did, so I will be giving y'all an extra video. And if you're here, you're a part of the Gold Soul family. You're in the Honey Gold Jasmine universe. And here we get lit, keep it real, talk real shit. You feel me? We talk our shit. You feel me? This is a space for confident people that's healing, that love good music, that love to live their life like it's golden. Word to Jill Scott. Yes. Before I get into today's story time, I want to say a shout out to the jewelry that I'm wearing. So this ring and this nose cuff that's shaped like a treble clef were made by AK the creator. She hand makes this stuff, y'all. So beautiful, oh my gosh. And these earrings were created by Janaya Omi, and they're actually made of recycled can metal. So 2 Black owned businesses, Black women that you should definitely support, and I will put their information in the description. This shirt is not for sale, but this is a shirt that I made like hella years ago. Just a short run of them. It says, I see yo energy, you feel me? And this story is one where I did not see this person's energy. I was stupid. I was so stupid. I definitely take accountability for all the red flags that I missed, all the needs that I neglected. Let's just get into it, okay? So it all started in 2014. I meet this producer, rapper dude that seemed really cool. You know, he was a good conversationalist, super eager to work with me on music. We ended up clicking, and he ended up being like, hey, come back to my studio and, you know, let's work on some stuff. Somebody was already at the studio, can't remember who the person was, but we were all vibing, listening to beats, listening to music, just really getting in the zone as artists and getting to know each other. I came back for another session and we did work on a song, and you know, it was kind of like a little flirty. Like I definitely caught that vibe the first time that we were like truly one-on-one, but I didn't really give into it right away. In that moment, a couple sessions went by, and eventually we did kind of look at each other in this new way more than just working together professionally. And that led into us dating. That was definitely not good, okay? Red flag number 1, don't be going back to nobody's studio in their house if you just met them. And I think by now I've definitely learned that there's way more studios available that are way better quality, that are not someone's house. And unless you like truly know this person, you probably don't want to do that. You feel me? That's just advice to like the young or even just new artists that are getting into it out there. If it's not your home studio and you don't know the person, find another alternative, okay? And I quickly saw that he was still fighting a lot of demons that he would eventually try to push on me. And I say that because it did get verbally abusive. There was times he was just really the type to pull you down, and he also would have like fits of hysteria. So it would literally be like baseline, chill, calm, whatever, and he would just like fly off the handle about maybe like a flashback or him just kind of like reacting and being triggered by something. And the last straw for me was one time we were on the bus. That's another red flag, okay? Have a little bit of something, okay? I'm not saying that you gotta be rolling through in a Benz or whatever, but I think if you're like really trying to pursue a relationship, like just please make sure you have things like a car and whatnot. Now, if you are extra like, I ride my bike everywhere, I don't want a car. I'm not necessarily talking to you because you already got that figured out, right? You're probably going to get with someone that's not going to care. But I definitely will say that like dating young and not even giving a damn about if the person has anything is like not smart. And that's for me too. I'm not saying, oh, you got to have a car and I don't, whatever, right? But that's a whole nother video for another day. We were on the bus and we were having a conversation about an upcoming show we were going to do, and I must have disagreed with him, and he was like, stop yelling at me. So I checked myself like, okay, maybe I am yelling, but mind you, I'm checking myself. I'm like really seeing like, am I yelling? Because this thing would only happen when we were like, we're not around people. So we're around people, he's on the bus, he's getting hella loud, progressively loud. And people were starting to look at me and kind of like, be like, are you okay? Like blink twice if you're safe. That's what really showed me like, oh, I'm not tripping. This dude really be escalating it and takes it to a whole nother level, talking about why you yelling at me so that he can control the conversation and make it go back to where he wanted it to go. Like that was the last straw for me, because I'm like, this could potentially be physically abusive and controlling, which he already kind of was. So I'm like, I'm not really feeling this. We were only together in a relationship for like 3 months tops, maybe 4 months, but it was a pretty short relationship. And in this time, we had barely worked on music. So we really had got distracted and deterred from our original goal. And so we broke up. I broke up with him. He was not happy about it. In fact, I was a bitch because of it. Yes, he called me a bitch. I had to do it over the phone because like I said, I didn't want to be around this man. And then he starts acting hysterical about this decision that I'm making. So I broke up with him. That was that. I was single for like a whole year before I got in my next relationship, which was with Ajman. But in between time, he was still hoovering me. He was still trying to find little ways to talk to me, even going as far as showing up at an open mic that I threw, one of my first open mics that I threw at Mills College, gonna show up talking about, oh, well, I'm a rapper too. I need a platform to perform, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, this boy lived all the way in like Stockton area. Like, why are you coming all the way to Oakland to a free open mic that, you know, at the time was pretty modest? Like, this is just a college open mic. This isn't no A&R scouting type of thing. Like, people are just here expressing themselves for the most part, right? And he still decided to come. You know, I was going to Solano Community College. I transferred in 2015 to Mills College, and I was living on campus, and I had a roommate that... Oh, my cat's coming in here. But I had a roommate that I had some chemistry with, and that went south. He was hella racist, this white dude. It was freaking crazy. But I had this roommate that I was low-key dealing with, and so I was like, look, he's telling me he's finna show up to his open mic, so can you please come to the open mic? So he came with me to the open mic, and bruh was hella freaking mad, because definitely he saw this as an opportunity to be like, I'm gonna try to get her back, and it just was not happening. Afterwards, he's like, why would you do this? You know that I have to catch an Uber all the way back home. I was hoping I could stay at your house. Mind you, never even brought this up, never even said like that this was a plan. He just was thinking like, oh yeah, she gonna let me stay tonight. Basically, no, he did not end up staying the night at my house. And he went back home. However, he went back home. He called an Uber, in fact, actually, because he sent me the receipt the next day and was like, this is what you made me have to spend. And it was like $100 and some odd. And I'm just like, do you realize this is you? This is actually decisions you're making. Like, this is not something I'm making you do, but whatever. For whatever dumbass reason, I told y'all I was stupid, right? Yeah, so for whatever dumbass reason, I still kept in contact with him from time to time, in between time of me not being in a relationship to, you know, breaking up with him to being in a relationship. And this whole little roommate open mic situation happened like in the middle of that. We ended up reconciling and was like, okay, we actually had a plan to work on music. That was our original thing. Let's just get back on that. You feel me? No grudges from the past. Let's just go on that trajectory. By this time, I was in a new relationship, and I explained to Ajman, hey, this was a previous agreement that we had and things just got derailed. So do you mind if he comes with his portable studio and records me, and he's going to mix and master the project? He even made a couple beats off the project, and that's what we was working on. So he's just like, okay, whatever. And me and Ajman were pretty fresh in a relationship, so I actually commend him a lot for like his trust. And I was definitely like, come on, like, I want you to be there. I don't want this to be like the ex you don't gotta worry about type of shit. You feel me? So he came over, we were all vibing, we was recording. Now, mind you, went off without a hitch, recorded all the songs we needed to, you know, look, I have no complaints about the session itself and the way that we create the music. However, he ended up confessing to me that at a show we had at Solano Community College, this girl shot her shot at him. He gave her his number for whatever reason, but told her he had a girlfriend, allegedly, right? And was like, oh yeah, I didn't do nothing with her then, but when me and you broke up, I hooked up with that girl and she was pillow talking about you and talking so much shit and this, that, and the other, right? But this is relevant because this girl has been my frenemy, had been, right? Because she's a has-been, I don't really know her now, but she had been my frenemy in high school. In high school, she was kind of like that mean girl Regina, right? It's like you would kind of want to be her friend, you would think you was cool, but then she would just say little slick shit that was so passive aggressive and under the table that you're like, do you really like me? Like, are you happy for me? Really? Are you happy for me? Smile on my face, but are you happy for me? Come on now, like, bruh. Those was the vibes. And at the time, again, major people pleaser, like just wanted everybody to be happy, happy-go-lucky. I wasn't really tripping, and me and her wasn't like best friends. It was just like high school shit. You have classes, you see each other, whatever. And I had a boyfriend, and she literally stole my boyfriend within like a week of me dating him. And that's when I really knew, like, this is a problem, but this is a pathological problem. And she must have peeped that he had bought me some Air Force Ones and even had wrote a poem for me and laminated it and put it in the box. And it was just so cute. It was just so cute. And I think she saw that and was like, I want that. So next week, saw them holding hands, kissing, all that stuff. He even wrote me another freaking letter, because I guess that was his thing, hopeless romantic and Kanto vibes, and told me that it was over. And I wasn't necessarily heartbroken over it because it was only a week. I guess I'm not that type of person that's just like madly, hella in love with someone right away. I was mostly mad at her because me and her had the history. So at that point, whatever frenemy friendship thing we had was severed. And so here we are, years later, she does the same thing. So he was really like taking joy out of the fact that he could probably kill two birds with one stone. You could talk shit about me with this person that also you know hates me, but you know that it might dig at me a little bit to be like, dang, this girl just won't leave me alone. I'm like, no, really, you're just more of a lame to me now. Like, I'm not pressed, trust me. I'm happy that I'm in this new healthy relationship and I'm leaving all that toxic shit behind. But all that beside, it was professional at this point, at least I assume so. So after the session, he has all the files, he's all excited. You know, for at least that month after we recorded, he's giving me updates about he's mixing this, he's working on that. And he also told me that he got discovered by this famous old school rapper that I guess lets producers move in with him, where he has them kind of on a sweatshop kind of production schedule. And he loved that. I mean, he already did that type of thing and was super productive at that time. And so for him, it was like, oh my God, this might be my big break. And I'm hella happy for him. Like, oh my God, like we really finna make it. Cause you gotta realize that like he was also getting into music again, because he had already had some like childhood stuff. He was getting into it again at the same time I was just simply kind of getting into it, but we were both meeting at that mindset and we were both technically each other's like team, on each other's team. So this wasn't just like a friend saying, oh my God, da da da. You're kind of expecting like, okay, you blowing up, you getting on, you working on my stuff, we're working together, this is a joint thing. You know, your success is my success, I'm happy. He literally ghosts me. He literally just, a month out, like, I don't hear nothing from him, but he's still on social media. He's still active, talking to mutual friends that we have and whatnot. So I know he's intentionally ignoring me when I'm reaching out to him. And over time, and when I say time, I mean time, because we recorded this in the summertime, and my goal was to have this EP out by my birthday, 10/10. So I'm panicking over time, like, what the hell am I finna do? Of course, I'm the only one in my own head about the fact that this has to come out, right? I'm an independent artist. Nobody's even waiting for me, right? Like, I didn't have no type of like anticipation, nothing. But in my mind, I'm super like deadline, that I'm like that type of person. So I'm like, this kind of has to happen at this time. Also drew a comic book with it. That whole thing was so traumatic. It really like rocked with my creation of even the comic book. So kind of last minute, I rushed the comic book. I tried to re-record everything. Well, I did re-record everything. And thus the Supernova 7 Gold Soil EP was born. I even had people remake the beats that he had made, because I'm like, I'm definitely not about to have your name tied to anything. I don't care what big break fame you're getting. Like, you're terrible. Remade the beats, had a release party. Still haven't heard from him. Had a release party, put it out. Ended up being a really dope, cute release party. Like, it was one of my first events I threw in Oakland. And people even showed up early to help out. Like, it was just such a beautiful experience that set the tone and the foundation for a lot of the support I have now. And I'm hella grateful for that. You know, at that point, I think I just had to let it go enough to just get through it and still kind of see my vision to fruition. And I was definitely like hella pissed at him, and you know, I felt like I couldn't really talk to nobody about it, because in my mind I'm like, well, people get fucked over all the time in music industry, so I guess I'm kind of thinking it's normal. And definitely at that time I didn't speak on a lot of stuff, because I don't think I always clock things as not normal, and I also didn't have good boundaries and know even how to enforce those boundaries. So I just was so passive with it all. And one day I heard from him. It was that next year. So in 2017, when I answer the phone, it's no like, how you doing? Like, he's just straight into like some story, like he's in a mode, like his modes that he would get in. He's in one of those modes. And I'm just like, okay, slow down. Like, what happened? And he's just like, oh my God, like, I got jumped by Swae Lee and his friends, blah, 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 blah. Like, they was trying to talk to me crazy. And so, like, you know, I was trying to show them that they couldn't mess with me. And then they all, like, you feel me, jumped on me, whatever. His bodyguard jumped on me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, okay, so, again, you want me to care because why? And I just literally was like, wait, so where have you been? He's like, oh, well, you know, like, I've been working or whatever. And I'm like, when did this happen? He's like, oh, this just happened yesterday. So this just happened yesterday. You're calling me, but you couldn't call me anytime. When you was having fun, when you was partying, them was your boys. And he basically told me the story, like, he's at this house. I guess a lot of people come through to this house, including Swae Lee, a lot of different celebrities or whatever. And he was the engineer. And I guess there's a culture in that house, at least in the music industry, where people talk down to engineers, and people definitely like come at them sideways. So I guess it was one of those times where he felt like somebody came at him sideways. He said something back slick, physically intimidate them. Because again, like I told you, he had a vibe of like, this can go physical. Like, this is verbal abuse. So they probably felt like, bro, like, what you about to do? What's up? And he ended up getting his shit rocked. Now, I don't condone violence, but it's kind of funny when somebody like does you dirty and then they literally call you with like the news. They got their shit rocked, and I'm supposed to feel bad. I'm not gonna lie, like, I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel bad, and I still don't feel bad, because I really feel like it was one of those God will give you a feast in front of your enemies kind of things. And it may be the opposite thing too. You will sometimes see your enemies get their karma, and you don't have to do nothing about it. It's like universe is gonna take care of it. And I know that Swae Lee and them was probably just defending themselves, because I know the way he tells the story, it's gonna be like, oh my God, woe is me. But it's like, I know you too, bro. Like, I know that you kind of like escalate shit, and you come off physically threatening, like you finna do something. So I'm pretty sure like they was probably defending themselves too. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying this because niggas need to catch a charge or nothing like that. I truly believe like Swae Lee was probably just defending himself because the way that this man energy is. Allegedly. Anyways, I start asking him about the EP. Like, so what's up with the EP? Like, you haven't gave me no updates for literally a whole damn near a year. And at this point, I've already put out the EP or whatever, so it doesn't matter. But like, whatever happened with that? And he literally just like, again, that deflection thing, just getting hella mad. Instead of saying, oh man, you know, I just didn't have time. No, he's like, well, why you care about that? I just got jumped. You telling me that that's what you thinking about? And I'm calling you trying to tell you I got jumped? And I'm like, why would I not? Like, logically, like, really, like, why would I not be thinking about that? Why do you want me to just be mad with you about this thing and just forget it? And I guess in his mind, he's like, well, you already put out the EP, you already figured it out without me, so whatever. And I'm like, I don't really want people in my life that can feel like they can even do that to me. Like, you feel like you can just ghost, not do my EP, and we just supposed to be cool? So then you can do it to me again? And no. Especially at that time, he was a part of that last part of that era of my life where I was really letting abusive people that were users be around me because I didn't think much of myself. I was still grappling with the trauma and things I went through, you know, being trafficked and whatnot, and like being a new mom and dealing with that all at the same time, trying to go to school and figure out what I want to do with my life. Like, there were so many transitionary things that happened that kind of taught me a lot, made me feel insecure. But ultimately, I'm like, no, like, fuck that. Like, there's a beautiful new community and friends that I'm making that are showing me that I don't necessarily just have to put up with abuse and like toxic masculinity just to be able to express myself. I don't necessarily need someone like that in my life, period. So that was the last time we ever talked on the phone. And I guess I just kind of had to be at peace with it because I was very mad. To this day, I'm only recently kind of shaking off the trauma of the fact that you could record something with someone and they could be gone. It's like now they don't give a fuck about your shit no more. And I feel like that's why it's kind of made recording the least favorite part of the process for me. I really have to be with someone who has good energy as my engineer. Like, they have to know how to give good constructive feedback. Don't get so much into the feedback that you are now like hella critical, but then don't sit there like a wet noodle and don't say nothing. If you think something about the song and you only care about if I'm paying you per hour or whatever, you don't care, you know, you may think the song's even whack, it's not your cup of tea. And I feel that energy, like my shirt says, I see your energy. Like, that doesn't go over my head at all. I feel it. I'm an observer. Well, yeah, I am an observer, but I'm an absorber. Like, I definitely absorb energy. Doesn't mean I'm a victim. It means that I have to learn how to manage that. And because I'm so open to a lot of things, I have to manage what ends up coming in. And so because in that recording process is very vulnerable for me, I have to be around someone that like is understanding of that flow and of that vulnerability and can kind of work with me. I didn't really trust nobody after that. I definitely had my own studio set up. So basically in these last couple years, I have released more music. I have been more prolific, been trying to like have at least something drop every month. And I am like getting through that. And I think like a part of that getting through process is me telling this story. So I appreciate y'all all for listening. This has been my story about when you just let karma do its thing. Sometimes you might be pleasantly surprised over the results, you know? And everything I'm saying in this video is definitely alleged on his part as far as what he told me about what happened in that house. I wasn't there. This is what he told me. True story. Allegedly. He might have just been trying to flex that, oh my God, I know these people. Even if it meant him getting his ass beat by these people, like it might have still made him feel good. He only stopped hoovering me like last year. He would always send me like 2 messages a year, 2 long ass messages. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I know I did you dirty, blah, blah, blah. And that's how I, even over time, really start realizing, okay, I wasn't tripping. He had some type of awareness that this is how he was being. And the reality is that he's actually still with this girl, got a whole baby and everything. So, you know, I wish them the best. I low-key feel like I brought them together, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm really a matchmaker out here in these streets. And yeah. So if you have anything that you could relate to in this story, I'd love to hear it in the comments. If you have any other red flags that you saw in this story that you just want to point out, because there was a lot of them, and I was definitely a little stupid, you know, at times. I definitely want to hear it. If you have a similar story, if you have a story of like music industry dudes just being shitty, like, you know, sometimes some of them are. I'd love to hear it. And, you know, we can pretty much like build a community here of truth and us talking about these things, because we go through this stuff in silence, and it's only 2022 that I'm finally saying something because I felt ashamed. And I don't think anyone should feel ashamed when somebody does them dirty. Like, Wipe that dirt off. Get that dirt off your shoulders and pick yourself up and know that you are worth the time, you are worth the trust, and you are worth the energy. So I definitely would love to connect with others that have went through similar things, or even just have more tips about how to avoid this type of thing, because I'm pretty sure it's not gonna be the last time I deal with somebody that says one thing and does another in this industry. So with that being said, thank you so much if you watched all the way to the end. Mwah. Peace.